Hi, good morning. Again, my name is Stephanie Burris, and I am the SharePoint Product Manager here at BCG. Um, as Stephanie mentioned, today we're going to be talking about Power BI or business intelligence within SharePoint. So we're going to talk briefly about the Power BI dashboards, the analytics, the visualizations that you can do with Excel, and explain how you can kind of take Excel to a whole new kind of level to really help your users slice and dice data, answer questions about data points, and ultimately make decisions, business decisions. Let's first talk a little bit about what Power BI for Office is. First, it's a cloud-based service that works with Excel to give your users a self-service BI solution. And by self-service, it means because it's cloud-based and it's online, any place a user has an internet connection, they're able to access Power BI and those Excel reports and such to do any sort of analysis or data questioning or reports that they need. It utilizes Excel heavily, and it gives a very powerful way so that you can work with all sorts of different types of data, whether it be sales data, inventory data, so on, whatever types of line of business information that those particular users and or departments want to work with. It, like I said, sits on, all reports are really designed in Excel. I mean, it can use and post SSRS or SQL reporting services reports, but the main visualizations and things like that are really done with Excel. And I'll show you some samples of that. Being that it's cloud-based and a part of Office 365, it's really easy to get it up and running, and your job and most of your work really comes into designing your reports, publishing them to the portal, and then just keeping your data accessible and up to date. Power BI is built on top of SharePoint Online, because I think the question is, when we talk about it being a cloud-based service, people ask, is it different than SharePoint? And really, it sits on top of SharePoint. It's a customizable SharePoint site so that you can make it look and feel like your organization, add some app parts, use your logo, things like that. But it presents a lot of those BI-specific apps so that you can load Excel reports, Power Queries, SSRS reports, natural queries, things like that. So there's just some specific apps that you get that are powered as part of the BI platform. What types of features are included in Power BI if you head down that path? There's quite the top level is you'll have BI templates. Site templates that allow you to create BI sites that have built-in collaboration and those built-in BI app parts that you could use. You're able to schedule data refreshes within Power BI so that you can query on-premise SQL servers or Oracle or whatever type of line of business data that you have on a particular schedule, so your users know, every night, the data is brought up to date. In addition, you can allow some reports to have on-demand data refreshing, so if people need the information right then and there, they can get it. We'll talk a little bit more about that, but there's about how to do to get started to kind of get that connectivity set up so that SharePoint or Power BI can communicate with on-premise servers. So we will talk a little bit more about that in a bit. Data queries. These are basically queries that maybe your IT group, maybe you as a Power Excel user create, but they're queries that pull together information, whether it be online information, whether it be line of business information, whether it be information in other Excel reports, whatever, is I can build a static set of data queries that I can then publish and make available to my team members so that they can design their own reports. The data catalog portion of Power BI is where we put these data queries so that when users go out to look for sales information or product information, they can kind of go to this data catalog and search it and see, does a query already exist for the information that I'm trying to find. Another feature of Power BI is what they call natural language queries, where we can type in a fragment or a sentence that says, show me the sales of product A in Asia. And then it will query our data queries and present us with a chart or some information based on that natural language query. And lastly is the ability to access these reports in your Power BI portal via your devices, your handheld devices. So whether you have an iPhone or Windows phone, iPad, Windows type tablets, those sorts of things, is with uses of HTML5 for a lot of the graphs and visualizations. You can have a very rich and interactive BI experience on a mobile device. Within Excel, what kind of makes the Power BI robust and make it work is a combination of the Power Query that lets us, like I said, search and find and utilize existing data sources, Power Pivot, so that we can build all of our data models in Excel that pull all of our information together. Excel's Power View, so that we can make really rich reports that we can slice and dice and categorize and so on. And then lastly is the Power Map, which really helps with showing the geography and kind of a 3D charting kind of experience, that they can like show a map with data points on it, click on those data points and drill into those locations and see, drill into further data points and so on. So it's a really interactive experience for your users. With all that being said, talking a little bit about what it is, let's show a little bit about it here. When you come into Power BI, once it's set up, you'll see on your app launcher there is an app for it which just says Power BI. When you click that, you're brought to your Power BI dashboard. And as you can see here, it's exactly what it says. You land on your favorites page, and what this page is going to show you are various reports that you flagged as favorites on other company BI portals. It could be queries, excuse me, that you use most often. It can be download. Here's where you can get the app for your phone, but it's basically a launching pad for the things that you use most often. And we'll put a couple reports on here throughout the demo to come back to this and show you what that looks like. When you look at the data portion of the personal Power BI portal, you'll see this is where you have all the queries and data queries that you use most often. These will be listed here so that you can see how often you're using them, the last time you used them, what data sources you're connecting to, for example, and that sort of thing, just so that you can manage those pieces for your reporting needs. From your portal, you'll have, like I said, your favorites that we'll go through and flag and so on. But what you'll also have on the left-hand side are all the Power BI sites within your enterprise that are available. So as we put together these separate Power BI portals, we may divide them by sales and marketing or inventory. We could have marketing-based information, or maybe demographics. Whatever types of categories make sense, or maybe department level access points that make sense, we can make separate BI sites for those. We'll come into our sales and marketing BI site, and what you'll see is we're going to land on a common landing page for everybody who enters our sales and marketing BI portal, and you can see across the top we have featured reports. So these are the reports that we've either through analytics or just just knowing the popularity, we featured at the top so people can get very quick access to them. If we scroll down, you'll see we've got featured questions, and these are some of those natural language questions that people have inquired about on our sales and marketing site. Common things is particular product, performance by month, average sentiment. You can see these types of questions, and what has happened is an administrator of the sales and marketing has flagged these particular questions as commonly asked, so they show up here as featured questions. If we scroll down under the BI document section, you're going to see just all of the various Power BI reports we have published here, and there's looks to be about 12 of these, but you can see quickly the title of it, a rough look of kind of what it looks like, the author, the last time it was changed. And then we scroll down to the bottom. There's just an area for a document library, a lot like SharePoint. Maybe we want to have some product literature here, or maybe we want to have some policies and procedures, or something that's commonly accessed by the people who utilize our reports. So maybe they're definitions of where data resides, or maybe they're even forms related to getting access to certain pieces of information. But you can put whatever you want to under your documents section. Let's take a little closer look at the dashboard here. You can see for these featured reports right away, if I hover over the menu for any particular report, you can see I can mark it as a favorite, or because I'm an administrator, I can remove it from the featured report so it doesn't show up here at the top. For our catalog of reports, the menu is slightly different. From here, I can mark it as a favorite, again, which will put it on my Power BI dashboard. I can add it to the featured report so it gets moved to the top. I can add it to our Q&A section so people can ask questions based on this particular report. I can change the schedule for the data refresh. And again, that's something that is an administrative idea. Not all users will be able to do that. I can edit it straight in Excel, or I can even delete this report. Like I said, in the delete, the schedule, add to featured reports, and add to Q&A, those items, like I said, are administrative items that I see as an administrator. So let's just kind of jump in and take a look at one of these reports. The power of the BI is that we can run and access these reports and interact with them in the browser, and this is very similar to your mobile device. So to do that, I'm just going to click on the report. And as that's coming up, like I said, you're going to see it's going to run, in, like I said, Excel in the browser. I don't have a full Excel menu in this view, but I'm definitely able to, go tab to tab to look at different types of reports that are included in this particular Excel file. In addition to that, I'm able to start slicing and dicing and looking at this information and working with it and drilling into the information I need quite quickly. So if I wanted to just look at North American sales, I can click that, and you'll see the report will just update itself as I drill into these various data elements and so on. And like I said, there's no limit to what you can do as far as filters go, or removing filters and that sort of thing. But people can really quickly get to the information they said that they need to see. Drill in, drill out type components. You can see, like I said, we had multiple sheets here, so we can drill in on one sheet, come into store sales, and if they're tied together, you can see where we can also have the same sort of filters that apply to multiple sheets if that's how our spreadsheet's set up, and so on. And I said, this is a very rich, interactive environment for the browser, and that's why this same report, like I said, would behave very well on a phone or a tablet or any sort of device like that, because, like I said, we don't have the big heavy lifting of Excel here. Coming back out, I want to show the same report, but we can open it directly in Excel, and kind of what that experience is like for those people who want to actually maybe dive into Excel and use more Excel-like features, or maybe they want to use these reports as a basis for other reports. If we say edit in Excel, you'll see it's going to launch our full-blown Excel client and give us, like I said, even a better experience, because we're going to be able to create new sheets. We're going to be able to copy and paste things into our own reports and so on. But our experience is very similar. As you can see, I can click on items and I can slice and dice my reports, my charts. I'm able to clear filters. I'm able to do all the same things that I could through the web client, which I think, like I said, is just a very, very, very powerful. Let's take a look, since we're in Excel, kind of show you some of the beat behind this report. Is sometimes we're not sure where data points are coming from on a report. The web browser will not tell us that. But once we get into Excel proper, we're able to click on Power Pivot and then go into, we'll be presented with our data model, where we can come in and see exactly where this information is coming from. And this is pretty helpful if we don't have documentation for our reports, or someone publishes a new report, we're not quite sure where they're getting that information, or even better yet, maybe we want to get very similar information for another report. We'll know where to find the queries and the data for that. You can see here that the data model looks like kind of a series of tables almost, or just data elements. If we click on Get External Data and Existing Connections, we can see that this particular report is pulling information from a couple different places. Number one, it's pulling information from the spreadsheet, a particular spreadsheet workbook, and two, very strong, is we're also pulling information from an on-premise SQL Server database. And that just goes to show you some of the power of, like I said, where this information can come from and why it doesn't have to be static. You can see that we can force a refresh on our data if we have permissions to do so. You know, we can change connections and things like that if we have permissions to do so. If we had our data catalog populated and we click Browse for More, you know, we'd see other SQL Server databases maybe in our enterprise or other workbooks that have been published as part of shared data sources that we could also pull into this particular report and, you know, like I said, further enhance information that's important to us. Let me come back out of this a minute. Thinking about it, I think. But back to, like I said, back to Excel. So from here, you know, we can do a lot of our printing and slicing and dicing and you know, add additional tabs and so on. You know, depends upon your security access. If when you make your changes, if you can update existing reports, or you're going to have to save a new copy and that sort of thing. So the security setup in SharePoint is going to dictate that. If there's other types of things that we can do inside SharePoint, Excel, for these power models, as you can see, we can define our KPIs for particular ranges and things like that. But all these features that I'm talking about now are specific to Excel, and you could create these sort of power views within Excel and just give those to your users. You would not need the Power BI piece, you know, to use these and interact with these. But what you get with Power BI, though, is going to be, like I said, these strong dashboards and this site where you can publish all the reports versus having them maybe all these reports sitting into a document library. You're going to get a web browser interface to interact with them and that sort of thing. So just to kind of differentiate, you know, when we talk about all this heavy use in Excel, you could very well build very strong reports in Excel and just use that piece. But like I said, you're not going to have the portal, you're not going to have the dashboards and things like that with that approach. We talked a minute ago about what Power Map is. I kind of want to just show a sample of that if you haven't seen it. So let me load that up. This is one of those power maps that's really powerful because we, in our data source, we typically will either have zip codes or latitudes and longitude. And you can see here as we look at this map of North America, and if I start to click on particular areas within my map, number one, I can just drill in and see particular sales amounts and things like that. I can also, you know, change different data points, and you'll see my map updates. It kind of gives us a very you know, geographic representation of where most of our sales and such are. In addition, excuse me, in addition, like I said, I still have the same filters and so on that I had in the other reports, where I can just look at particular products and you can see that quickly adapts my map to those particular items, you know, particular countries and so on, particular years. But like I said, this is a very, like I said, very interactive and graphical way to show information. And again, Power Maps can be used outside of Power BI. They're just kind of an add-in for Excel, so you don't have to use Power BI for those. But again, what we were just doing was working in the browser, which, like I said, we had a really rich interactive experience and a way to analyze our information without having to have Excel and have all those add-ins loaded locally and so on. Let's take a minute here and let me pick a couple of items. Number one to mark as my favorites to kind of show you the kind of things that what your dashboard can start looking like as you start working with particular reports. So a couple of these I went through and flagged them as favorites and things that I like to look at or things I like to run, and I'll come back to that. Let's talk a little demo of this little featured questions. Let's drill into one of these here. So you can see the types of, it's kind of like a search box, if you will, or a conversation box, where, like I mentioned, this is more of a Q&A or natural query aspect. So we can say, you know, show M400 sales for the month. And we can run that particular query. And you can see I get a graphical representation back of per month of what I've got. It also will show me other related questions that people may have asked or related to the same information that that I queried about, because maybe we build a list of featured queries that people commonly ask. So people can kind of look at real quick, get really quick information about costs, about prices, and things like that. Like I said, without having to open a report or slice and dice information or anything to that effect. Like I said, they can just change little tiny elements about their particular Q&A and then just submit that and get a quick graph. So they can make quick decisions and things like that. I envision like meetings and things like that when people are sitting around a table and asking, I wonder what the sales were here, what were the sales there, you know, just really using this natural query type language just to ask those questions of our system. You can see that we can flag particular queries as our featured queries, obviously very powerful. We can edit queries. You can see that if we're getting bad information back, we can start giving Power BI feedback that says, you know, this was not helpful to us and maybe not a good data point. We can share these queries and results with people via email. And again, we can also copy this particular URL with the question in it and email it to somebody so they can run it themselves. Some of the interactivity with these Q&A pieces, as you can see, we have this like sales by month. We can really quickly and easily see this in various different types of charts, which, you know, some things I think present better in different types of charts, but you can kind of see that we're able to do with the Q&A section. But again, another way that helps people ask questions of their data, get results back very quickly without having to sort through lots of reports or wonder which report has what types of information and so on. Let's go back over to our personal Power BI page or dashboard. And I was going to, like I said, show that some of the things that now that we've flagged a couple things as favorites, you know, we're going to start filling out our own personal portal so that we don't even have to get into the sales and marketing portal or our inventory portal or what other, you know, BI sites we've kind of set up. As we start building those reports, we can build our own custom dashboards here, which, like I said, can become very powerful to get the information very quickly and very easily. Let's talk a little bit about some of the, I guess, the guts of what you need to get started and how you get started and that sort of thing. Power BI for Office 365, you know, versus just plain old Excel. You can kind of see on this chart that it shows you a few of these items, and if you want to have data catalogs, if you want to use power maps, you know, the types of things that work within just regular Office is in the third column, that you can do Power Pivot, Power View, and very strong reports. You can see that the web client within a standard SharePoint site will handle a Excel file that's less than 10 meg, but however, you know, on the Power BI side of things, you're able to get up into the 250 meg file Excel workbook size, so it handles a lot more data. On the same token, you can see like Power Query and some of the scheduled data refresh, your mobile BI, your natural query language, all those sorts of features, though, are part of Power BI for Office 365 and part of your SharePoint portal, so you need to have Power BI to utilize those features. But again, there's nothing to stop you from making really strong Excel reports and putting them into a SharePoint document library and having users just, you know, access them probably like they would today from SharePoint or from their file server, their machine, or anything like that. But the Power BI is going to give us a lot of capability to do scheduled data refreshes, create sites that can contain not only our reports but other related documents, offer us mobile support for our phones and our tablets, as well as the natural query language. Kind of to get started with Power BI, you may already have some reports, you know, that you've designed that use Power Views and things like that. If you don't, you're going to need Excel 2013, and you're going to, you know, with that have Power Map, Power View, and Power Pivot, and then you can get the Power Query add-in, which allows you to do data discovery and build queries and those sorts of things. Those tools alone are going to allow you to create the interactive reports. Once you get those, it's kind of what do we want to do with these things next? You know, if we want to build connection strings into our Excel reports, and so that users have to, you know, type in credentials to refresh data. Do they have to have static data that you publish, updated reports. You may be an IT person or somebody runs these reports and puts the most recent versions out on your site, that sort of thing. Like I said, you can do that today. But with Power BI, you can take those same reports, push them out to your Power BI portal, and then with this, what they call data management gateway, which you would install on a server in your organization, you can create a trusted connection between your Power BI site and your on-premise SQL Server, Oracle Server, whatever, Excel spreadsheets, that allows Power BI then to refresh reports based on settings within that data management gateway, even allows users to do on-demand refreshes and be able to get to back-end data in a secure way. So those things you'll have to define and get set up, and then once you have that, the Power BI piece on the SharePoint end is quite easy, actually, because there's lots of places where you can go out to your portal and pick on Power BI and say, you know, give me a preview or give me a trial, and kind of mess with that aspect. But regardless if you turn that on today or not, you still need to have strong Excel 2013 reports that you can publish to your portal. And like I said, a decision about, you know, is your data going to be able to be refreshed from the BI portal, or will you need someone to publish it internally and then put those or deploy those reports to your portal. Let's talk just a second too. I want to talk a little bit about pricing really quick, because this is some new information that was just released with respect to Power BI. In December, I think the price was $20 per user per month, and here now for the Pro version it's $9.99 per user per month. And you can see that there's some 10 gig per user limits. That license gets you to do everything that we showed today. It talks about how frequently you can do data refreshes up to the hourly mark. You can do dashboards and everything. And that's, like I said, for the Power BI Pro. Recently released within the past few weeks, they've been talking about this Power BI for free. So you also have the ability, you know, so with smaller data sets, is you can try the free license, which will give you, like I said, a little smaller data points, but you can still do your dashboards. You can do the Power BI Designer for your portals. You can work with the natural language. You still get your mobile apps, things like that. There are some built-on add-ons for Dynamics, GP Dynamics, Salesforce you can see here, and some other products already that come with the free. But what you're going to miss with the free is a lot of the interactive query searches for particular data queries and queries that are made and available to our department. You're not going to be able to set up the data management gateway, which is what we kind of talked about, you know, being able to pull information from your server on a, like I say, on a scheduled automatic basis. You will be able to do manual refreshes, but you won't be able to do the scheduled ones, which is what the data management gateway is going to allow you to do. And then you can see here some of the collaboration pieces. There's different things where you can design your own contact packs, interacting with Active Directory groups for access, for being really finite on who can do what within the portal and things like that. You're going to miss those with your free versions. But if your data is secure, your reports will handle the security of that information by themselves. But I wanted to mention that that's something that just as I said in the past couple weeks that's come up with the free license, and might be worth a try to take a look at it to see if it's a good fit for your organization. With that, I know that's a lot of information about Power BI, and there's just a whole nother week's worth of training probably on how to open up Excel and create your own Power BI reports and Power Maps and things like that. If you have any questions about the Power BI piece and even how to get started with Excel, anything like that, please reach out to us and let us know. If you have existing data warehouses, you know, this would be a great tool to put on top of those and kind of extend those a little further. If maybe you're using SSRS or Cognos or one of those types of tools for cube analysis, Power BI with the Power Pivot tools and the Power View might be a really, really great fit to extend this to a portal and allow people to access more information on their handheld devices. So again, just reach out to us with any questions or any information or help that you need, and we'll get that to you.